Knobs, 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 knobs. Need to make some knobs. So if you saw the last video when I was working on this guitar, you'll possibly remember that I said I needed a volume knob. I might have called it a control knob, but it's a volume knob. It's only got one purpose. I've had a plan kind of since the beginning when I started with this piece of wood, after the failed attempts with the other bits of maple, which I'd almost forgotten about, to be honest. I wanted a knob that kind of matched and fitted in with the beech. So I've actually dug out some of the offcuts from this top, and I did actually use another piece of this beech to make the neck for a bass, so I've got a couple of bits from that which have helped. And I've put together a blank to make some knobs from. So we've got a single piece that's about 10mm thick, I think, or is it about 8mm? It's something thick. I did the measuring when I was making it and I can't remember the numbers anymore. And then we've got a piece of black fibreboard, which is from some pickup flatwork that I was making a while ago. And then we've got more offcuts, which are smaller. There's two pieces stuck together to make the top of this. As you can probably guess, I've had to work with kind of smaller bits because I didn't have anything that was really thick enough or the right size or spalted enough all at the same time. But hopefully what I've made should work. You might also have noticed it's the same size as the blanks I've been using in the CNC machine. There's a reason for that, and you're going to find out why. I've been playing around with Fusion 360 again, and I've created a drawing which makes a domed shaped knob, which is the look that I've been going for. It's a little bit wider than standard, not really any taller, just kind of, I mean, the ones that I did as a test, came out looking a little bit like half of the Death Star. I like that. So there was one in here which was finished, but that's currently upstairs on a project base that I've been looking at for someone. I might put a photo of it somewhere just so you've got a vague idea of what's going to happen. I might not. It just depends on whether I want to leave it up for a surprise or not. So I did this test and figured out a few bits and pieces about this that things that I was going to need to change. I went through and I tweaked the profiles and the pictures a little bit, and I've changed the toolpaths to make everything work. Now I'm either going to like these knobs or I'm not, but I'm going to have 4 of them, so if I don't like them I'll have 4 knobs that I have to find something to do with them. If I do like them, I'll pick the best one that matches this guitar the best, and then I'll have to find something to do with the other 3. What could go wrong? So I'm going to get this loaded into the CNC machine, fire up the program to get it going, and I think we'll just fast forward and do a kind of speedy montage through the CNC doing its thing, and we'll have a look at what we get at the end of it then. This will be a couple of minutes for you, this is going to be a few hours for me. So that is 3.5 hours of CNC time done. I like these, they look quite nice. In the time it took to cut these out, I made a pizza. I ate the pizza. I listened to a lot of Pantera, and I started making an aluminium nut for this guitar, which we'll get onto in a little bit. But I think first I'm going to trim out the bottom of this, because it's left me a fraction of a millimetre of material underneath, and then we'll have a look at the knobs that we've got and see what ones are going to work. You may have also noticed that for a while there were only 3 in the block. One of them disappeared. That's because the machine did a weird thing, which has absolutely nothing to do with operator error, honest. I think I stopped the program partway through at one point and it didn't register that I'd moved it back, and so it kind of messed up my 0 point. Roughly translated as I didn't set it properly. But that's part of why I decided to make 4 instead of just doing 1. So I'm going to concentrate on this for a few minutes, and then I'll cut them all out. Also, since it's Christmas and I haven't done any shopping yet, somebody might be getting a nice tea light holder. Let's keep that. Got options now. So the black stripe becomes visible in a little thumb hole, because I've gone slightly wider and obviously more round. There's not a lot to grip onto, so I've put a little kind of recess on the here to be able to get your finger in and get some grip. That looks quite good. Kind of blends quite nicely. There's not much to it. This one has some nice black marks from the spalting on this side and a little bit on top. That looks quite nice. It's a little bit lighter in colour. This one has the crack in the knot that was in the blank just showing on the side, but otherwise it's fairly plain. I mean, I really like all of them, but I think we're going to go with this one with the extra spalting, just because I like it the most, and that's what's important really, isn't it? So I just want to double check that I've got this nice and clean in the little thumb groove, because that's a part that I can't really get into with sandpaper at the moment, or not very easily at least. I also took them off the spoil board and the machine part way through before I redid the thumb hole, so that I could put a bit of tubing and some glow-in-the-dark powder as a marker dot, so you'd have a position marker. That ties it in even more. That looks bloody fantastic. So all I need to do for that is now recess this ever so slightly. So I'll measure how wide this is. I think it should be 3 centimetres. That's what the drawing said anyway. And I'll recess that into the body only very slightly, just enough so that when it's on the shaft of the pot, it doesn't sit higher above the body, so it's it keeps the gap hidden. And then I'll drill the hole all the way through, and I will also mark and drill a hole over here, which is where I'm going to have my coil split switch, because from what I've heard, a coil split on the Alumitone pickups doesn't have the same volume drop issues that a lot of normal humbucker coil splits have. And since I'm not having a tone switch or tone pot anywhere, I may as well have a bit of extra kind of functionality there. Gives another option for sounds and different tones out of it. But I think, as we are, this is going to be pretty Getting the electronics in from the inside of this guitar is going to be a challenge, but that's also a bridge we're going to cross later. I'm not worrying about it right now. I'm hoping I don't have to cut a control cavity in from the back. I will test fit the electrics before I put any finish on here, but for now I'm hoping we're okay. Fingers crossed. So as I mentioned, I was making a nut for this guitar whilst the CNC was going. I've started shaping a piece of aluminium here which fits nicely in that slot. I'm just taking the profile down on the top at the moment to be just above where the strings are going to sit. So I've shaped the sides to follow the contour of the neck and the transition into the headstock here. Both sides are obviously angled because the nut is angled with it being a multi-scale. I just need to get this back in the vise and finish taking the height down, which kind of defeated the whole purpose of taking it out, because I didn't do any close-ups and you didn't really get to see anything. So I've used half a pencil, which is somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure where. Oh, it's over there. To mark out the height of the top of the frets against the front face of the nut when it's sat in the slot. I'll file it to follow that curve a millimetre or so above that line, and then I'll smooth it and clean it. I won't give it its final polish because I'll wait until I've got the nut slots cut in for that. String slots, nut slots, it's a nut, so all the slots are going to be nut slots, but the slots for the strings. I get really hung up on semantics. I need a file.